Fala, galera! E aí, beleza? Seja bem-vindo a mais um episódio aqui do nosso podcast, o DellPod. Hoje a gente está com um episódio muito especial, né? Um episódio diferente também, porque nosso convidado ele não está presente aqui no estúdio, né? Ele está um pouquinho longe, ali na cidade de Charlotte, na Carolina do Norte, lá nos Estados Unidos, né? Então a gente vai bater um papo aqui com o nosso convidado, Jeremy Weiro. Mas antes de eu falar mais um pouquinho, Rebeca, que está aqui no estúdio, tem um recado para você.
Hey guys, I want to remind our English-speaking viewers and our beloved guest from today's episode, Jeremy Radio, that you can always turn on YouTube subtitles so you can follow the entire content of today's episode.
Então é isso, galera. A Rebeca falou, na verdade, para o público do Jeremy, que talvez assista esse episódio, para eles habilitarem a função de legenda em inglês desse vídeo, para eles poderem entender o que a gente está conversando aqui, né? Então é isso. O nosso convidado é o Jeremy Weiro. Ele é lá de Charlotte, na Carolina do Norte, e ele é músico, é baixista e trabalha com o John Mark McMillan, acho que desde 2010. Na verdade, eu acompanho eles desde 2010 e o Jeremy já está lá há muito tempo. E eu, como bom fã, né, sempre acompanhei todos eles nas redes sociais, né, fico interagindo ali com eles nos stories, nas postagens. E o Jeremy foi o cara que sempre foi mais solícito, sempre me respondeu, sempre foi gentil. E há pouco tempo atrás eu lancei esse desafio para ele, da gente fazer esse podcast à distância, e ele aceitou. E como que funcionou, né? Qual foi a dinâmica desse episódio? Eu elaborei 5 perguntas, não quis abusar também, né? Eles estão lá se organizando para fazer a turnê, iniciar a turnê. E eu elaborei essas perguntas, a Rebeca fez a tradução dessas perguntas, né? E a gente mandou para ele. E ele respondeu elas em vídeo e a gente vai acompanhar agora, né? Então, vamos partir para a primeira pergunta, né? Vamos fazer aqui nossa primeira pergunta para ele. Hey, Jeremy, eu sou o Del, host do DellPod. É um prazer receber você aqui no nosso podcast. Espero que você curta essa experiência. E eu queria começar te perguntando o que fez você aceitar esse convite para conversar com a gente.
Okay, question 1. Hey, Del. I'm Jeremy Radio out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm happy to be here today, which is to say at my house. But I'm happy to be on your show. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I accepted your request because I like meeting people. I like talking about what I do because I think it could inspire people the way I was as a kid to go buy a guitar and try to start a band and, you know, realize that people that get to do stuff like this, we didn't win a lottery. It's because we said yes, you know, and maybe we're sometimes too dumb to quit, but we, you know, I hope I could inspire someone to realize that doing cool creative things isn't unattainable or only for lucky people. Like, we can all start a band, we can all be actors or professional skateboarders or any of that stuff. Like, you just gotta go do it. And so I'm a big proponent of that. So I like to share my story whenever I can, and maybe it'll inspire somebody to, you know, go do something cool.
Legal. Gente, esqueci de falar, nossas considerações finais sobre o episódio, a gente faz no final, né? A gente faz um pequeno resuminho para vocês aí. Mas vamos partir para a nossa segunda pergunta, né? E vamos continuar aqui conversando com o nosso convidado. Jeremy, hoje você toca com o John Mark McMillan, né? E vocês já vieram algumas vezes aqui no Brasil e isso fez com que você ficasse conhecido por muitas pessoas. Eu queria saber como que foi a tua entrada na banda, né? Você e o John Mark são amigos de longa data? Como é caminhar musicalmente com ele?
Okay, question 2. It's about how I met John Mark, a longtime friend, so excited to work with and share life and ministry with him. Yeah, so I've known John Mark McMillan. See, I moved to Charlotte when I was 18, which is about 20 years ago. And I met him, it was really cool. Like, I really just felt like, I felt like I was supposed to move to Charlotte. and I was really scared too. I didn't know anyone. But my first day or two in Charlotte, I met a lot of the people I've been making music with for most of my life now, including John Mark McMillan. One of my first or second days in Charlotte, we met, and yeah, he was really cool to me, man. And I was a fan. I really liked his music a lot. He only had the one record out, Hope Anthology, which is out of print and hard to find. But I was a big fan. I really loved it, and so I really wanted to be his friend anyway. But yeah, I feel like we hit it off. And in 2006, he went on his first tour, and he asked me to go and play bass. So it was my first time ever going on tour playing bass with someone. I'd gone a month previous selling merch, selling T-shirts with a friend's band, and so we did. So I got to play bass on John Mark's first tour, and High Loves wasn't a big song yet. It was maybe getting a little traction. But it was a tough tour. We were in a van. We were sleeping in sketchy hotels, and some nights were big crowds, some nights were not. And but we learned a lot. We had a really good time though. It was really a lot of fond memories of that one. And so that was in 2006. And after that tour, I started a band called Public Radio, and I did that for most of my 20s. We toured really hard and put out some records, and that band started to fizzle out in 2012. And I had heard that my friend who was playing bass for John Mark at the time, because we stayed in touch, we were still friends, my friend that was playing bass for him told me that he was gonna quit because he didn't want to tour anymore. So I immediately texted John Mark and said, "Yo, let me play bass." And he said, "Okay." And it wasn't that easy. So a good lesson there is, it never hurts to ask. And so that was right when he was starting to record his Borderland album. I jumped on then, and about a month after I had sent him that text, we were on a tour. We did like a 2-week run up to Canada and back, and I think we went to Brazil twice that year. And we've just been hitting it hard since. So that was almost 10 years ago now. It's been great. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything on the question here. Yes, we're longtime friends. That's how I joined the band. What's it like to work with and share life with him? It's great. He's a really great guy. He's a really, really special friend to me. We're close enough to where if one of us makes the other one mad, we can, we might get a little angry, but we can work it out, and we keep working together. And he's always, if he ever offends me, he always apologizes very quickly, which is something I appreciate with him. And I've been the hired gun in a lot of bands, and a lot of good experience, but I've been not treated well by a lot of musicians. And John Mark's always been really just solid gold. He's always treated me great. I get to be creative. He's always down for people that bring ideas to the table. So for a bass player, it's a really great gig. I just really get to come with some out of the box ideas, and most of them make the record, which is really fun. So he's a cool guy to do music and ministry and life with. We haven't gotten sick of each other yet. It's been a little bit. So that's a good sign for one of us.
É legal que a gente pensa assim que lá para fora os músicos de lá é um negócio assim diferente, mas não. É a mesma coisa. É a mesma coisa que de um guitarrista ou um baixista que quer entrar numa banda de um cantor que o cara é fã. É a mesma coisa, né? Engraçado. Mas bora para a nossa terceira pergunta. Vamos fazer nossa terceira pergunta para ele. Jeremy, já que a gente está falando já de música, né? Mais precisamente, bora falar sobre a tua trajetória musical, né? Como foi que ela iniciou a tua trajetória? Conta um pouquinho aí dela para a gente. Como foi o início até esse presente momento?
Okay, question 3. How did I get started with music? My parents sent me to a pretty strict Christian junior high and high school, which for us is like starting at like age 12, 11. I think they sent me there so I wouldn't get into trouble or meet any bad kids or anything. But this particular school, most of the kids that got sent there got kicked out of other schools. So they were like the bad kids, you know, like, so the first day I met a bunch of skateboarders and punk rockers, and they let me borrow a bunch of CDs, and I learned, you know, about like 70s and 80s punk rock and skate punk and all the cool stuff that was happening in the 90s with like just really fast, awesome music. And I just fell in love. It was like a bomb went off in my head. I got a bass for Christmas that year. Because the big thing about punk rock, the music aside, is it's very about like, go do the, you know, DIY, do it yourself, go start a band, go do this. And so it just seems so accessible for the first time. Because when you grow up and you hear like, if you see videos of like Led Zeppelin playing or the Beatles, you don't always think like, I could do that. But if you hear the Ramones, you think, I could do that. Like maybe not as good as them, but you know, it crosses your mind. And so I got a bass for Christmas that year and started a band with my friends, and we were awful. And I was in a series of bands throughout high school, and they were all awful too. But we had a really good time. And one of the main reasons I moved to Charlotte when I was 18 is all I've ever wanted to do was go on tour and play music every night. It just seemed like the coolest life to me. And I was right, because it's hard, but it's awesome. So I moved to Charlotte hoping to meet more musicians, maybe get on the road, and it worked out. You know, a few years later, I was doing my first tour, and I've been pretty nonstop with it since. I'm always in a few bands. I'm always doing a lot of studio and hired gun work, and just going out with whoever will have me. But for me, it all started with punk rock. It was this attitude of like, anybody can do this, why not you? And I still, you know, even people that hate that kind of music, whatever, I get it. It's not for everyone. But that attitude is so great. It's so accessible. It's like, it doesn't matter where you came from. I grew up not in the best neighborhood. We weren't rich. You know, I shouldn't have been able to, it shouldn't have crossed my mind that I could do what I did, you know, but punk rock, it you know, always talks about that kind of stuff though. It's like, it doesn't matter where you came from or who you are. If your parents are rich or poor, like you can start a band or write a book or do a podcast or, you know, anything, be a photographer, be an actor, like anybody could do any of this stuff. It's like the opportunities are out there. It's just who's going to go grab them. And for me, I thought bass was going to be my ticket. And, you know, I was, up to this point, I've been too dumb to quit, and that has worked out in my favor. And yeah, I've had some cool adventures because of it. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Massa. Jeremy, você já veio aqui no Brasil mais de uma vez, se não me engano, né? Falei ainda há pouco, né? É uma pergunta um pouco, não sei, delicada, mas eu acho que é legal ouvir a tua percepção. Existe alguma diferença entre a igreja brasileira e a americana, na tua opinião? Conta pra gente aí.
Question number 4. Yes, I have been to Brazil more than once. I've been to Brazil 4 or 5 tours there. Like say each time was maybe for like 1 to 2 weeks. It was always amazing. I love it there so much. I miss it. Definitely hope to get back soon. It's not up to me though, I just play bass. But no, it's always, the people are always amazing, the food's amazing. You know, so the difference between American and Brazilian church culture, you know, these are blanket statements because every place is different, but like some little things I noticed are even like fun observations. In American culture, sometimes people can be a little like scared to really let loose and have fun and jump around and sing along. Sometimes you gotta loosen them up, and it takes a song or two, and then they wish they had been that way since the beginning because they would have had more fun. Not, you know, again, not every place is like that, but I think typically the first song or two, it's like everybody's kind of checking you out, or they're too embarrassed to jump around. But of all so I've probably played 20 different shows in Brazil, maybe a little more. I never found that to be the case once. It was like, we play with in-ear monitors and, with like the click going, or just so we can hear everything. And most gigs there, the people are singing so loud that you can barely hear what's being pumped into your ears from the in-ear monitors. Like, it's crazy. Like, everyone in Brazil, it seems like, from the first downbeat of the first note, they're like, let's go, we're gonna sing as loud as we can and have a blast, and really go for it. And I love that. It's so much fun, because, if I'm playing for an audience that aren't into it, I'm still gonna have a good time. You just realize you're not gonna get any energy back from the crowd sometimes, and you just gotta try to get into it and connect with something. And but it helps so much more when everybody in the audience is singing along and going for it, because then it just helps you to go right with them. So it's really easy just to have a great night, and just like really get lost in the music. And so yeah, Brazil gigs, and wherever we're playing, because we've done like churches, clubs, tent in the rainforest that got rained out one time. It was always awesome. I will say, one thing about Brazilian culture, at the venues we've noticed, you never know what you're gonna get. And some nights you'd walk in and it's this massive stage with amazing production and lights, and sometimes it is the stage was just, it looked like someone used it as like a storage for old furniture. Like, there were just all these busted old chairs and tables. So we cleaned the whole stage off, and the sound system doesn't work, and they've sold like 100 more tickets than the place probably should have allowed, so everyone's just crammed in there. And, our gear shorts out because the power's bad. We're like, all right, well, it still ended up being a great night, But I feel like a lot of times we'd call the venue and say, do you have this, and this for us? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And they don't. So you kind of never knew what you were going to get night to night, but it was always a blast. It was going to, you just had to let it go and have a good time. But yeah, the community there is so amazing. Like, you can play in America and never meet the people putting on the show, or if you're playing in church, you might not meet the pastor guys or gals. But in Brazil, like, every time we played anywhere, the people that put on the event insisted on bringing us out to dinner every night. Mostly to Brazilian steakhouses, which are incredible. And so there are nights we would have a 4 a.m. Lobby call to go to the next town, and we get out of the show at midnight, but we had to go eat with whoever was in charge. And that was fine by us, because, musicians will never turn down a free meal. But I just loved that even if you were tired and maybe you didn't want to, it meant so much that they really wanted to meet you and connect with you. And that seems like a big part of it. Everybody there really wants to like connect and hang out. I will say it was weird a few times. People were waiting out to meet us, which happens occasionally in other parts of the world. But it was like 500 people, and they had surrounded our van, and they had to bring around another van, like a decoy, for us, and everyone ran over to that one so we could run and get in ours. And then we get in, and the crowd runs back over, and they're banging on the windows like we're the Beatles or something. And I was like, this is tripping me out. But it was just like, man, everybody here is really cool. I guess they like care that we're here. So I'm rambling. That's the main takeaway, is it always felt really like, we always felt very appreciated for making the long trip over, and always feel very welcome and very taken care of. And you don't always feel that way in the States at every place you play, or other parts of the world too. So hospitality is always very appreciated in our line of business. or work or whatever. I can't call it work, right? We play guitars, but hospitality is always really appreciated, and that is one thing you get 24 hours a day in Brazil, and we always appreciate it. I miss it mucho.
É engraçado, né? Realmente ele pontuou duas coisas que são muito percebidas no Brasil, mas assim, mais especificamente na igreja brasileira, né? Ela é muito calorosa, né?
Sim.
Muito receptiva, realmente abraça, vai para cima, principalmente na questão de louvor. Uma igreja, de modo geral, ela é muito extravagante na adoração. Mas nessa parte de som, né, sempre teve esses poréns. E é engraçado ele dizer que ele nunca sabe o que está esperando, se vai ser um bom som, uma boa estrutura ou não. E ele foi cirúrgico na resposta, né? Mas bora continuar aqui conversando com ele, galera. Essa é a nossa última pergunta, né? Jeremy, inacreditável que você aceitou o nosso humilde pedido para conversar aqui com a gente. E em todo episódio eu sempre peço para o nosso convidado deixar a sua mensagem, né? E nesse caso, deixa aí a tua mensagem para nós aqui do Brasil. E mais uma vez, muito obrigado e que Deus te abençoe.
Okay, question 5. It should not be unbelievable that I accepted your request. I'm just a guy, but that's very nice of you. I hope you don't make fun of my southern accent too much. I tried to not talk too fast. I don't enunciate great. But yeah, do I wish to leave a message to Brazil? Absolutely. Anytime I can leave a message to anyone, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. I've been fortunate, and I love to empower people with the message that got drilled into my head as a young guy from punk music. But it's do that thing you want to do, like start a band. It's if you don't like music, like whatever it is you want to do, like start a podcast, start a blog, buy a camera, be a photographer, go get a skateboard and learn how to skate. Like go to that audition you want to do and get in that play. Like all the good things in life like that we think make people special or they're lucky, it's just because they like gave it a shot, and they were like me, you're too dumb to quit sometimes. Like when maybe you should have got another job. I'm so fortunate, and no one in my family was musical. I didn't have some opportunity passed down to me. I just went for it, and that's there's some luck, sure, I think involved, or favor or grace, whatever you want to call it, but a lot of it comes to you saying like, yes, let's do this. I'm gonna buy that guitar and that drum set, and I'm gonna get some of my dumb friends together, and we're gonna write some songs, and we're gonna see where it goes. And there's like just so many cool things that could open up to whatever that is you want to do. So, and I know that can sound pretentious, but I mean it. It's to me, it's more feet on the concrete than a spiritual thing. Even it's like, life's short, and we live in this awesome world with all these awesome people. Like, go make some cool art and or document someone else's art, or go learn how to surf or make a really good cake. Just do it. That's do the thing that you're stoked on. Because it's been one of the greatest joys of my life is following this little rabbit hole to see where it goes. So yeah, thanks so much for having me. I use a lot of weird slang sometimes, so I hope it wasn't confusing when you translate it. And I hope I didn't say any words that when you translate it means something really bad, because I think I've done that in some other countries. So if I did, forgive me. I think my language is all pretty kid-friendly. But yeah, thanks for having me. And I'm excited to check out the podcast. And,
Pô, que massa. Ele preocupado. Ele fala um pouco rápido, né?
Ele fala um pouquinho rápido. Vocês vão notar aí na legenda que passa rápido, mas é porque ele fala bem rápido.
Acho que Carolina do Norte é como se fosse a região do Nordeste, aqui pra gente.
Eu não sei te dizer.
Porque eles falam, o John Mark fala também meio arrastado e tal.
Mas ele falou que é uma região sulista, deve ser algo
sim.
Como ali...
Então é equivalente ao sul, né? Que realmente o Nordeste aqui fala bem diferente do Sul, né? Deve ser isso. Mas eu gostei, meu bem, demais. Eu tô muito empolgado, assim, muito, muito feliz. Mas, assim, falando um pouco sobre o episódio, de modo geral, analisando ele, eu percebi como eu acho que essa galera, assim, ele tá representando a galera dele. Ele não tem um discurso vitimista de que a vida é
verdade.
difícil, né? Eu percebo, assim, como eles são empolgados e determinados com as coisas normais, simples. Eles fazem das coisas normais da vida, tipo, a melhor coisa da vida deles. E eu acho isso muito massa, né?
Isso é legal mesmo.
Ouvindo como ele começou a carreira dele até
Sim.
hoje, eu não vi nada de, assim, até assim, nada de sobrenatural. Só foram coisas práticas que ele, bom, eu quero fazer isso, eu vou fazer isso. Que até diz que o, o lema do punk rock, né? Se você...
Sim.
Se
Se
você-
alguém pode fazer, eu também posso fazer.
Né? Eu achei muito legal isso aí da parte dele.
Eu achei legal que ele destacou que é uma coisa muito mais realista, como ele falou, pé no chão, do que coisas espirituais, né? Porque às vezes tem gente que fica esperando cair do céu a habilidade, cair do céu a carreira, a oportunidade, né? E ele tá falando, ele, como ele falou, ele gosta de empoderar as pessoas com essa percepção, que foi exatamente o que ele fez na vida dele e o que ele fez com o nosso podcast.
Exatamente. Eu achei isso muito legal, assim, porque ele não foi um cara que tem um discurso e não tem a ação,
Sim.
né? Desde o início, na verdade, as considerações finais dele, ele já tinha dado lá no início,
Lá no início,
né?
verdade.
E realmente ele é um cara, como ele falou, ele é um super defensor desses pequenos começos, desse incentivo. E a maior prova disso foi ele ter aceitado, né, esse bate-papo aqui com a gente, de certa forma, até colocar em risco não a integridade, mas que eu cheguei a conversar contigo, a reputação dele, porque ele não conhece esse podcast,
verdade.
podcast lá no Brasil, vou mandar vídeos meus, mas enfim, ele confiou. Então, realmente, isso comprova que ele é um cara que ele defende mesmo os começos, as iniciativas. Eu achei muito, muito bacana assim, da parte dele. Espero que ele goste, né, desse episódio. Espero que a galera também lá assista, né, e tenha uma boa impressão da gente, né. Eu achei bem bacana. Eu achei legal também a resposta dele com relação às diferenças, né, entre a igreja brasileira e a igreja cristã.
Americana.
Isso, a igreja brasileira e a americana. E é engraçado, né? Enquanto que a americana ela é muito excelente, ela faz tudo assim, tipo, vamos fazer do bom e do melhor, né? A igreja brasileira, assim, falando de modo geral, a gente sabe que hoje já tem muitas igrejas que se preocupam muito com a excelência. Quando eu falo de excelência, estou falando de estrutura mesmo,
Sim.
entendeu?
Bons
só
equipamentos.
disso. Bons equipamentos. Aqui ainda não, a gente ainda não dá para comparar com os Estados Unidos, mas assim a igreja, o calor dela, assim, eu acho que não existe em nenhum lugar no mundo. Tanto é que é o que é mais observado, né?
É verdade.
A igreja brasileira é mais elogiada, bem vista por causa do seu próprio corpo, né? Como ela mesma abraça e tal. E por isso que eu acho legal que quando a igreja brasileira com a americana se junta, é um negócio
incrível,
fenomenal, né? Porque aí a gente junta excelência com paixão, com fogo, né?
Sim.
E eu achei massa, assim, abrindo mais um parêntese, eu vi lá na Bethel, a Jane Johnson, eles estão cantando uma música do Alessandro Vilas Boas.
Sim.
E, cara, é maravilhoso ver aquilo, porque a gente vê, assim, algo brasileiro,
sim,
né, introduzido ali na cultura americana.
De uma igreja que a gente admira muito, né? O pessoal que a gente admira muito.
Isso. Eu acho que foi isso. Tem mais alguma observação para a gente fazer? Cara, assim...
Que todos os músicos são iguais?
Cara, a gente fica com uma coisa assim, a gente cria um distanciamento, né? A gente coloca as pessoas assim e depois, se a gente for pensar, mas por que vai ser diferente, né?
Uhum.
É igualzinho, é um cara que que, como ele falou, ele chegou em Charlotte e no segundo dia ele conheceu o John. E no dia que ele quis fazer parte da banda, ele pediu para fazer parte, né? Uma observação também bem legal da relação deles, né?
Sim.
Deu para perceber que não é aquela relação de artista e músico, né? Artista
Sim.
e músico contratado. É bem bacana assim que o John dá liberdade para eles poderem fazer arranjos,
Isso.
melodias, né? Criar ideias, como ele falou. E é muito bacana isso, né? Acho que foi bem legal. Eu estou feliz, minha filha. Assim, eu acho que, sei lá, é um presente, né? Eu não imaginava que eu iria, assim, em tão pouco tempo, ter a oportunidade de gravar um episódio
como esse, né?
Dessa magnitude, né? Que, sei lá, de repente, para as pessoas pode não parecer muita coisa, mas usando o exemplo dele, a gente tem que ser empolgado com as coisas que a gente quer fazer, né? A gente tem que ser feliz, ser empolgado e se sentir bem, né? E é como eu estou me sentindo agora. Acho que é isso, né?
É isso.
É isso? Galera, esse foi o nosso episódio. Jeremy, um abraço. Fica com Deus, né? Um abraço aí também para todo mundo aí de Charlotte que de repente pode assistir esse episódio. E acho que é bom dar um tchau também em inglês para eles, né?
Yes, to our English speaking viewers and our beloved guest Jeremy Radio, we are ending this episode, and we thank you very much for your viewership and your participation, Jeremy. We love you.
I love you. Bye.